It's Thursday, November 13th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, talking about apples. Apple cake, apple pie, apple cobbler. Let's do this. So something very interesting happened to me yesterday. I was on the subway. I was getting on the subway. So Grand Central, I am walking from the 4-5 train
To the 7 train?
down that long ramp that goes to the 7 train.
Was the guy playing his shamisen in there?
So there was no shamisen there. There was no Casio guy wasn't there. He's been there a lot lately. There's no musicians there at all.
Oh,
And it wasn't super crowded.
okay.
So for whatever reason. So I'm walking down.
Did you
And
take the
I
escalator
hear-
or the stairs?
I'm walking down and I hear someone running behind me.
Okay.
Now, New Yorker instinct kicks in because they're running way faster than even like...
Then trying to catch the subway running.
Yes, that is the running of shit's going down.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn to be ready for what's going on, and I see either a kid or a very short person barreling toward me, and they got there so quick they slammed into me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm staggered back, but they were small, and I'm not a huge guy. I'm under 6 foot, and I only weigh 150 something pounds. I'm not like this wall. The kid or the guy bounced off of me backward and was stunned for about 4 or 5 seconds. Then he got his wits together, shoved past me, and ran on his way.
Mm-hmm.
So in the time between when he slammed into me and was stunned, and then he ran away, I had a decision to make. Do I stop him?
You don't know anything about why he's running. Why would you stop him?
So here's what I
What
did.
if you stop him and,
Exactly. That's the New Yorker assessment of should I intervene in this situation? And the answer is almost always no.
That's correct.
However, what I did is I look up to see, for example, is there anyone yelling?
Police?
Is there anyone yelling in the distance? My purse! My purse!
What, did he look like he was holding something?
I didn't have time to assess that. Remember, I had about 4 seconds total before he started moving again.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would have had to move quickly and decisively to actually, stop him.
Sure.
So the other thing is there a police officer in hot pursuit?
Let them take care of it. It's not your problem.
Had I seen...
If you turn around and start running, the cops are going to chase you. Don't do that.
Yeah, so had I seen a police officer chasing him while he was still stunned in front of me, I may have knocked him over or something.
That's fun.
Yeah. But there was no one immediately chasing him, and there was no further commotion online. So I decided, I don't know what he's running from. He might be running from something that I would also run from. I'm just not going to intervene, so I let him run past me. But I jogged along behind him a little bit to keep an eye on where it was going in case the situation progressed.
Oh, because you need to be involved.
Well, you never know. What if he shot someone? You don't know.
Okay.
So then another person.
Was that uncrowded there?
At that point, it was.
Wow, that's super uncrowded. When was it, 3 in the morning?
So yesterday and Monday, there was just fucking no one on the subway. I don't know why. It was really weird.
Okay.
Really weird. So then I hear footsteps and someone yelling, out of my way, out of my way. And a huge motherfucker comes around the corner.
He's chasing the little motherfucker.
He is chasing the guy, and he is shoving people out of the way and running. And it gets kind of wet.
But he's big, so he's going,
it gets kind of wet along the left
He
side.
fell down.
He starts sliding, slams into the wall, and now he is dazed. It's been about 30 seconds since the guy ran on at this point.
So he's not going to catch him. It's over.
Well, so then the guy's like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
There's only one way for him to go. It's a tunnel, dude.
Well, yeah, but you can go left or right down the stairs, and you can also go around the corner and back up an escalator. There's actually a lot of ways to go at that point.
Oh, you're right. I thought you were in the long part.
So now I have decision number 2, because there aren't that many people around, and the few people around are pointedly trying to not be involved.
Yep.
So I have to decide, do I point or not? Is this person the good guy or the bad guy?
You have no idea. If there is a good guy or a bad guy.
He then immediately pulls out a badge, and he goes, undercover cop, where'd he go? And it's a real badge, at least as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
So I point very detailedly without saying anything in case the dude's right around the corner or something. I don't want to get that involved. And then the cop takes off in that direction. So I then go down, and I see the cop walking up and down briskly because there's a huge crowd down there by the subway because it's been a while since this train came. A train's about to leave going towards Times Square, and another train's pulling in to about to let people on going to Queens. The train going to Times Square is obviously empty because it's rush hour going home. Like, no one goes that way in the evening.
Well, no, it's going to pick people up, not drop them off.
Yeah. So he's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and I look around just to see, like, do I see the motherfucker? Because at that point, I'm going to point him out if I see him. I don't see him. I look around a little bit, and I just give up, and I just get on the subway.
Okay.
Then they try to close the subway.
I wouldn't even put in that effort. I would have been like, oh.
Yeah, maybe I'm Batman. I don't know.
How do you know the undercover cop was even legit?
If you had a fake badge, then that is some mafia level.
I actually read stories about like people pretending to be undercover cops quite often.
Yeah, they often don't actually have a real badge.
That's actually like a frequent thing that I'll see, especially like the police will tweet like, so-and-so pretends to be police officer, rob someone.
There's an episode of Friends about that, actually.
It happens like, it's not uncommon.
So actually, I've gotten out of multiple speeding tickets when I was in high school by doing the following. If an unmarked cop car turned on its rollers, which in New York, they can't pull you over for speeding. But in Michigan, they totally can. Anytime that happened to me, which usually was because I was speeding, I would basically calmly continue driving and make them follow me. And I drive straight to a police station and park. And then when they start to try to read me the riot act, what the fuck you were doing, I didn't trust you were a real cop. I drove to the police station because that was the prudent thing to do. If you're a real cop, I'm waiting for show me a badge, that kind of thing. And every time that eventually turned into I'm sorry from the cop, and then them either forgetting why they pulled me over or not giving me a speeding ticket. So pro tip for you kids. So anyway,
how do you find the nearest police station? Google Maps.
Yep. Well, if your pro game is call 911, I guess. I'm not advocating you do that. That's probably illegal. Just saying.
I'm being pulled over. What's the emergency?
I don't think they're a real cop. What should I do?
Pull over.
Yeah, maybe. So imagine, anyway. So I get on the subway and then, stand clear of the closing doors. And then the doors go cha-chunk, 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 and then open. Cha-chunk, 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 and then open. Followed by, please stand clear. At this point, it's not the recording. It's the conductor getting increasingly pissed.
Who's holding the doors open?
The cop.
All right. He's
So
he's checking the whole train?
No, there's only one cop. So he's holding the door open so the train can't leave.
Why didn't you just tell the guy not to make the train leave?
Because he's not near the guy.
Oh.
And the guy's about to leave. So this goes on for a while. And then people on my car are getting increasingly agitated.
Of course.
And then I see 10 or 15 cops. Not just normal cops. There were multiple sergeants.
So it's real. So it was a real cop.
At least one captain, an event coordinator. There were it was basically at least 14 cops.
So shouldn't this be like on Twitter, like the police Twitter, like apprehended so and so?
I don't know. So yeah. Now at this point, I'm like, man, maybe I should have knocked that guy over, but there's no way I could have known back then. So eventually, the doors close and stay closed. The other train, which hasn't moved yet, the doors close and it sits there. Then I see cops sweep the other train and push everyone out of it, like down the end and out a door, and then the train leaves empty. Then the conductor gets on the train and on the announcement and says, "The police are holding us in the station. Please stand by." So we're locked on the train. We're trapped.
Yep.
Then almost immediately, conductor says, "The police are not holding us here. The train's dispatcher is holding us here. Due to train traffic ahead of us, we will move along shortly."
Sure.
Yeah, sure, dude.
Way to go, MTA guy.
So then cops are canvassing, and there's a crowd.
MTA too real.
Yeah. Well, because if the police were holding it, I think that's technically illegal detention of 2,000 people.
Maybe.
Yeah. So then police are sweeping the platform. Tons of cops. And cops come through our car in both directions.
How do they even know the guy's still on the train?
I don't know. So cops come through our car in both directions. So when the first cops come through the car, I'm like, "You looking for that really short guy?" And they're like, "No comment, no comment." And I was like, "Well, if you're looking for him, if he was smart, he probably just ran back up that other stairway instead of staying on the platform." And then they're like, "No comment, but thanks." And then we sit there for like another 10 fucking minutes. And then eventually the train just goes on.
Yep.
And I couldn't find out what happened.
They probably got away because he was tiny. Maybe he went in the subway tunnel.
Yeah. But whatever that short guy did, that was an unusual response by the cops. So I suspect it was one of those like had a weapon, was about to be frisked, weirdo situations and not just normal situation. That is my story, and it has an anticlimax.
My story is less exciting. It involves the vastly superior to police fire department.
Ooh. You know, that was the advice that apparently my grandpa gave to my dad when my dad was like, I want to be a cop. And he was like, you know, I'm a fireman. My dad's a fireman. So, you know, lots of firemen. You also know lots of police because we're all friends. How many of the police officers are happy with their lives? How many of the firemen are happy with their lives? And then my dad became a fireman.
There you go.
That's the tale I was told.
So we're looking out the window at our office, and there's this building across the street from us. There's two big ass billboards on it that usually advertise the same thing together. And lately, they've been putting up these ones that advertise a movie coming soon with a little tiny screen that says how many days until the movie comes out. So that Interstellar movie's up there now.
Oh yeah,
and
I kind of want to see that, but
the little screen on it was like, you know, it got to 0 because it's out, and then it said, instead of saying out now, it says out wows. And it was really strange.
All right.
But then today, my coworker was like, hey, check it out outside. And this little tiny, like, you know, mini screen, all that basically just says a number on it, has two fire trucks and a guy's up on a ladder next to the screen, like blasting it with fire extinguisher. And they like closed off the sidewalk underneath it because I guess the rain plus electricity must have set that shitty screen on fire.
That's really funny.
So, screen set on fire.
All right, so in my news...
That's it. Not that
Yeah,
exciting.
because it's, you know, it's the lounge. We can talk about whatever. Thursday Night Geek Nights. I don't have any real news. Well, there's lots of real news, just nothing I have anything new to say about. So, I saw something else involving firemen at my office, because, you know, I work right next to the, so a lot of people I know who work downtown call it the 9/11 Tower or the Freedom Tower.
It's One World Trade Center. You're not allowed to call it anything
else. You know
else.
what? Almost no one I know calls it that except you and Emily.
You're not allowed to call it anything else except One World Trade Center. That's what it's named.
Most of my coworkers and the people I know downtown call it the 9/11 Tower.
Well, they're dumbasses. So it's technically like number 1 World Trade Center because number 1 is the address, right?
Plus, God, by that logic, you can't call the Lincoln Building or 60 East 42nd. You have to call it 1 Grand Central Place.
Sure. Something that's interesting is it's not open yet. Won't be open until next year. But the observatory at the top, that's probably going to cost $1 million and have a long wait to go to.
Yep.
Is called One World Observatory.
Ha ha ha! Clever girl.
ONE World. Get it?
That's clever in that way that I wish people would be less clever.
Yes.
So I work right next to that thing, and suddenly there's some commotion.
Okay.
And a scaffold is hanging by 1 set of cables instead of the usual 2 sets of cables.
The kind that is used for cleaning windows?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's 3 dudes strapped into this thing like 700 feet up, trapped.
That's why, even though you're in one of those things and it seems pretty stable, you still strap yourself to it with some, you know, tethers.
So, of course, I'm the only one who notices or knows this. So I go to Twitter, and sure enough, like...
Everyone knows it's easy.
No, almost no one has talked about it yet. So... I'm gonna be like, oh, I should tweet about this, and then I search for scaffold, and then I see the tweets coming in. I'm like, okay, and then I look at the live camera, and I'm like, okay, they didn't fall. I don't have to feel super sad.
They attach themselves to it like they're supposed to.
They're basically just hanging out there.
I mean, if you're in a building that tall, even though if you're a pro at window cleaning on tall buildings, you are fucking strapping yourself in.
Yeah, granted. So my building, right? I'm like 180 feet up.
Okay.
So, you know, high enough to kill you.
They're like 180 stories.
Yeah.
I don't know how big it actually is.
I think they were between the 60th and the 70th story, I heard.
That's high. That's more than 180 feet.
That's because I'm on the 16th floor of a building.
Yeah. Okay.
So, in my building, I have seen the people who clean our windows, and they have no safety equipment, and what they do is they open the window, they grab like the wall, they kind of hang out the window and just squeegee it.
So that's cool, but the way you're supposed to do it is on old buildings, there's hooks outside the window, and you wear a little harness, and you hook yourself to the side of the building.
Yeah, I use a similar harness when I go rock climbing.
Right. And then you unhook and come back inside.
So anyway, the scaffold's hanging there, and I'm the internet person in the office, so I know. So I'm like, guys, look out the window, and then look on Twitter.
Yep.
And of course, the guys were just waiting, and it was all fine. So then the big debate that I was having with everyone.
What is the method of getting them down?
Yes. How are they going to be rescued? And my guess was correct.
Mm-hmm.
My guess was they're going to cut the glass on the inside, like right where they're hanging, and just let them in. And sure enough, they did. The photo of that is really interesting because the layer that's actually outside, like the outside layer, peeled away like a banana, basically.
Well, it's laminated.
Yeah.
First, right? So,
so I suspect that's not actually
and
the
it's
glass.
not just glass either.
I suspect they cut the tempered or whatever glass out first, and then on the outside surface, there's also a thin film.
The thing I don't understand is why they just remove the panel completely, right? I mean, those panels are attached somehow when they're installing them. You could probably they're like glued around the edge or something. You could probably just unglue it and
I
pop the
suspect
whole
that
thing
would have
off.
taken a lot longer.
I don't know. You in a hurry?
Yeah.
They're just hanging out.
Can't hang out that
What's
long.
the hurry?
And they had to get the guys out before they could secure the scaffold. Another fear was that it was going to fall completely.
Well, you got time.
Yeah. So that is how they save people in that situation. They just cut a hole in the side of the building.
I'm sure they have
it's all
extra glass.
So now you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So
Also, I heard nothing but woo, 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 woo outside my window for like 4 hours.
I would have just gone home.
Yeah. And we had the window open because it was fucking hot that day, too.
So there's been this battle going on. Completely change of topic.
It's been nothing but New York so far. Is this not New York?
It's not New York.
Wow. Okay.
So Amazon has been fighting with that book publisher.
Oh, yeah. Hatchet, whatever.
Hachette, I think is correct. Whatever. And, you know, a lot of people that I tend to agree with on a lot of things take Hachette's side in this battle. And the reason for that is understandable, is that, look, you basically have this big company, Amazon, that has a monopoly and is sort of imposing their will. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. We shouldn't have a company with a monopoly imposing their will. So sort of like Comcast imposes their will. That's not cool. So why is it cool if Amazon does it? And it's not cool in principle, right? However, in this situation, what Amazon's basically saying is Hachette, look, you're charging like more than $10 for one stinking ebook. What the fuck? For $10 a month, someone can get Netflix or Spotify, which is every music or every movie ever, and you're looking for one ass book. That much money?
I don't read that many ass books.
I'm just saying, one stinking book, you're charging that much.
I only had one
You
stinking
should be
book.
charging $10 for subscription to every Hachette book ever published. Free unlimited access a month. That's what you should be doing.
So one, I only ever had one stinking book, and that was that copy of The Prince of Nothing that smelled like locks for whatever reason. You remember that?
Buyer beware, used on Amazon.
And two, obviously there is a big issue with just in general, like how to pay for the creation of media, like Spotify and all the streaming. Great for the consumer, great for the big bands. Little bands basically are completely fucked by that. But that is a debate that society has to have.
The point is that the pricing. If you're just, the way they're selling the books is you buy one book, you get an ebook. The pricing is ridiculous. So Amazon was like, look, we can't make any fucking money with your pricing, so we are going to use our power as the source of most of your revenue, as your top reseller, to sort of push you and make you give us, legit ebook prices. And Hachette was like, fuck you, we're going to fight. So they fought. Well, they settled. And there were absolutely pretty much no details released about the agreement whatsoever.
What I find interesting is that basically of everyone I know in the world that I know, like actually know this person in some fashion, maybe 3 people knew this was happening or gave a shit.
Yeah.
Which was very illuminating as to these kinds of issues. On one hand, I tend to root for the small company because the big companies tend to fuck us over. But on the other hand, I also root for whoever works the best for me.
Right. See, and
I'm the Lorax. I speak for the consumer.
Right. This is the difference. Is that in the Comcast case, Comcast is fucking over the consumer. Amazon is basically fighting for the consumer with their vast
Well, here's
power.
a better example.
Oh,
Visa.
against the big evil book publisher. And why were people sympathizing with a book publisher?
Okay, here's a better example. Visa is an awful evil company.
Oh yeah.
Visa, however, fucks other people for my benefit.
Yeah, they fuck over small business. They don't fuck over people who buy things with credit cards.
Exactly.
They
In
help
fact, they
those
bend
people.
over backward to help us.
That's right.
So Thus, the conundrum of two parts of me, one part of me roots for Visa because they fight for me, and the other part of me wants to knock that Lorax on his ass.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, well, I guess they resolved whatever their problem was somehow, but they didn't release any details of what the solution was.
That's a nice ebook business you got there. It'd be a shame if something were to
happen to it.
Happen to it. So, things of the day. Scott had a problem. Scott had two really good things of the day. So he asked me to arbitrate which one he should use.
Well, I mean, people have told us that my things of the day are awesome and Rim's is not as awesome.
Depends on the person and the era.
Have, if we redo the website,
wait,
we should
you
implement some sort of thing of the day voting thing.
We should. We totally should.
See who gets the better things of the day.
We totally should. However, we can't do like a historical analysis because most of our things of the day have been taken off the internet.
Well, I can figure that out as well.
Yeah, but the problem is, what if like more of your things than mine were taken off the internet than if we did a modern analysis of voting?
But anyway, my things today are better, so we're just going to use 2 Scott things of the day and 0 Rim things of the day.
Well, but my problem was, as the arbiter that Scott asked to bring in, like the arbitration of Scotland before the Wars for Independence, I like both of Scott's things of the day a lot, and while I had some things of the day,
they suck compared to mine. Even you're admitting that they're not good.
It's not that they weren't good.
They're not good.
It's that I kind of want to save them for when they're relevant to the main
They're just
bit.
weird internet shit, like what you've been finding
Only
lately.
one of them is weird internet shit.
Anyway, so one thing that always bothers me is that when you go in the subway, New York again, there's music performers in the subway, and sometimes they're good. The best subway music station that you can go to is Metropolitan Ave G-Train platform. That's the best. But anyway, most often, in places other than Metropolitan Avenue, Brooklyn G-Train platform, you only have a few genres of subway music.
There's pan flute guys.
Pan flute guy.
There's
shamisen guy.
There's hobo who found a Casio keyboard.
Music student from Juilliard practicing.
Yep. Bagpipes, pretty common actually.
Generic guitar dude.
Yep.
I mean, there's a few genres.
Oh, shitty drummer. Shitty drummer is very common.
Right. There are quite a few genres. It's not like you're really limited, but there's plenty of genres you never see, right? I never see, like, high-quality dancing, right? You only see Showtime dancing.
Showtime, step back, step back.
Right. You never see metal band in the subway. It just don't happen, right? You don't see, like, opera singer in the subway. Really.
I've seen that a couple times.
I've never seen it, but it's rare, right?
Actually, you know where I saw that the most? In Grand Central for Metro North.
You never see klezmer in the subway, even in Jewtown. It just doesn't happen. So, another thing, a metal is the one I most want to see in the subway because it would just echo down the tunnels. Like,
oh, my
fuck,
God.
Right? But anyway, so one thing you also don't often see in the subway is electronic dance music. Well, here's 2 dudes wearing luchador masks.
They've definitely got a Daft Punk attempt vibe.
And they are playing electronic dance music in the subway station. Oh, yeah. So awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, thing of the day number 2.
The hero.
Right. So you'll remember my thing of the day from the previous episode of Geeknights involved a guy getting out of his car, looking at a dude who was tailgating him, menacingly.
Spoilers.
Getting back in his car and driving off. So here is a music video by a dude named like Im Jang Chung, I think is his name. I'm pretty sure. It's hard to read other languages. I have to rely on Google to help me out here. He's an actor and a musician and, many other things.
Yep.
Right? He is a talented individual. So he made this music video. It came out late last year, like 2013 something. And this music video has a story to it. The song is called Open the Door, and the story of the music video, I mean, I can't understand the lyrics of the song, which would probably be funny and make a lot of sense. But if you just watch the music video, the story is internationally accessible and breaks through all language barriers. And it is pretty much exactly like my thing of the day from one episode of Geeknights ago. And it's a good song too.
Yeah.
And
the dance really good.
The dance is kind of easy.
The motion that he makes, I'm going to make at appropriate moments in social interactions from this point on.
How often is that going to happen?
Pretty rarely, but
How often are you near people who need to be stared at quietly?
Well, Depends. I'm in a New York subway.
Maybe your coworkers.
No, it's got to be like at a convention. Maybe that'll be the universal signal for that guy, and I don't know. Figure it out. Play it by ear.
Maybe we should do that at conventions when someone's misbehaving, right? Instead of trying to figure out like what to say to someone who's like, if they said something racist or sexist, just stare them
down.
Just walk up to them and just stand there looking at them menacingly.
Huh. The problem is, those people don't take even normal social cues. Like they just bounce off them. It's like trying to pour oil on a duck. Like it just doesn't work.
Well, we should try it anyway.
I don't think we should pour oil on a duck.
No, we should just stare at people menacing.
So yeah, the book club book is Watership Down by Richard Adams.
We should read Fire Ship Up.
Okay.
Just to do the sequel.
So, it's a book, semi-famous, pretty good. I just got to the cultist rabbits, and
Who worships Almaguster?
There's some cultist rabbits.
Okay.
The history, the story of how and why this book was written is also pretty interesting. Good book, inspired a lot of things down the road, and one of the things you'll notice after you read it is that people are referencing this book way more often than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the meta moment in general.
PAX East tickets went on sale.
There are a couple of Sunday badges left.
Are there any Fridays left?
There were as of 4 hours ago. I don't know if there still are.
Just go to east.paxsite.com.
It's faster just to type
We're
PAX.
we're definitely gonna be there enforcing.
There are still Friday badges.
Yeah, all right.
We will be there no matter what. We will at least be enforcing.
We don't know if we're gonna have panels accepted.
I mean, I hope we will, but I've learned to never assume anything.
Right, so far they've always been accepted, but there's no guarantees.
We have presented at every single PAX, including Australia, since 2008.
Right.
So I'm gonna be really sad the day that streak is broken by us or them.
Right. Either way, PAX South also hopefully getting our panels accepted.
Yep. If they accept our panels, we'll be doing one or both of learning games and bad games.
All right. MagFest. If somehow we end up not going to PAX South, Rim can cancel his hotel room and we can go to MagFest instead.
If you aren't going to PAX South because you fucked up and didn't get badges, you should go to MagFest instead.
Yeah, that's true.
MagFest is my second or third favorite gaming con. Easily.
Other meta things. Just want to remind people of the vast number of ways in which you can interact with us on the internet. We have a Twitter account, Geeknights. We have personal Twitter accounts. You can find those on your own.
We both have YouTube accounts. I have all our panels and lectures. Scott has everything Netrunner.
We have Facebook page. We have a Google Plus page. We have a newsletter that you can subscribe to by going to our website, and somewhere in the footer is like a newsletter link. We have a website, frontrecruit.com. We have a forum on the website where you can discuss things with other people who listen to the show. We have that new Facebook Rooms thing.
We have 988 episodes of Geeknights. Every one of them is online, and you can listen to all of them for free on our website. All of them. Also, we've done 170 panels over the years, and about 30 of them are on YouTube. You can just watch them.
We have an IRC channel. That's on irc.foodnetic.net pound Geeknights.
I was hanging out there a whole bunch until my computer died at work, and I'm waiting for my new computer to come.
You don't have any computer at work whatsoever?
Well, I do, but I didn't restart idling.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, there's tons of stuff places you can find us and interact with us via internet. Pick whichever one is your favorite and do it.
All right. So, apples.
Apples.
You know what I just remembered? Remember that fucked up My Little Pony, like the weird animated one that was all creepy and weird?
Yep.
So
the one that was like something dot
yeah,
MPEG.
.move, .jpeg, Applejack eating too many apples.
Yep.
I'm suddenly reminded of that. That's what this episode's about.
Right. So basically, Geeknights is pretty seasonal. We got convention season, game season, anime season.
Apple season.
A lot of seasons.
Rabbit season.
Apple season is just about over here in the Northeast U.S., right? They tend to come out in the October-November area. The Apple House is open. I bought 2 big sacks of apples yesterday.
The Northeast is one of the parts of America and the Northern Midwest where people pay attention to apples. Like
we grow
apples,
a lot of varieties.
Yep, like apples are everywhere, but in a lot of the country, like if you ask someone what kind of apple they like, they're probably going to say red, yellow, or Macintosh. They're not going to say Golden Delicious or Fuji as opposed to
Honeycrisp.
Gala.
Yeah.
Honeycrisp
They
is
don't even know
okay.
what the fuck Macoun is, and Empire apples are named Empire apples because it's the Empire State.
Also, Empire apples fucking suck.
They're not that good.
They're awful.
They're not awful, but they're not great.
They're
don't
my
choo-
second least favorite edible non-cooking apple.
I do not choose them.
Yeah. My least favorite, if I had to say, I actually really don't like Granny Smith apples.
I like Granny Smith.
I like them cooking, but I don't like eating them.
See, the Red Delicious, I mean, it's not
Fuck
good.
the Red Delicious.
It's not good. I will not say
It's
that it...
mealy, it's kind of mushy, it's flavor, it's like too sweet and at the same time not bodily enough, and the skin's way
There's
too
actually a
thick.
really great article online about why the Red Delicious is the way it is. But the thing about the Red Delicious is it's not all bad, right? The flavor that it does have is a good flavor. It's just in most of the apples, that flavor is mad weak. And if you could get an apple that had the Red Delicious's flavor but was strong, it would be a great apple.
So, Scott.
The other thing about the Red Delicious, the good thing about it is the lumps on the bottom.
I do like those lumps. I was going to bring up those lumps.
The shape of the Red Delicious apple is
lumps.
is the optimal shape, I feel, right? So it's like they genetic engineered many aspects of it, and the only aspect they lost while breeding the Red Delicious for all factors was taste strength.
Nah.
If they could find a way to just engineer it and bring back that flavor hardcore, that might move up to like number 1, 2, 3 apple.
There appears to be.
But right now, it's hanging out there with Empire apples at this point.
Scott, I'm going to describe an apple to you that I didn't know existed. That's recent. It's a recent cultivar.
Okay.
Quote, juicy and sweet, and viewed by many as the successor to the Honeycrisp.
The successor to the Honeycrisp?
Yes.
Okay.
The Sweet Tango.
All right. Never heard of it.
Developed in 2009 in Minnesota, don't you? Oh my God, it has its own Wikipedia page.
Is it like patented and licensed by
U.S.
this
Patent PP
Right, sure.
18812P3.
Right. So there's that 557 apple or 57. Can you find the number on that list of apple varieties?
It's kind of hard because there's a lot of varieties that are bullshit.
Just press Control F and type the word 5 or the number 5.
Yeah, the number 5 turns up all the time on this page, and the word 5 doesn't.
But we were driving back from Albany to New York, and we went over the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, and we went down this road that was pretty much nothing but farm stands, and they were all selling apples.
Stupidly, because we haven't driven that
stopped
way
at
before.
the first one because we didn't know better. We didn't realize there were more down the road.
Yep.
And I bought a sack of apples, and he said, those apples are basically Honeycrisp apples, but softer. And they were like 577 or 557 or some numbered. Like, they didn't have like a name. And I got them, and he was not lying. They were basically sort of like the shape and size of Macintosh apples, but they were tasted just like Honeycrisp apples, only they were softer and not as crisp, but just as much honey.
Yep. I'm a recent fan of Honeycrisp, but when I was a kid, my favorite apple was, and it's still one of my favorites, the Golden Delicious.
It's a good apple.
It's a standard apple. It's crisp. The things I hate mealy apples, like apples that have like kind of like mealy, like when the texture is inconsistent. Inconsistency is the worst possible thing you can do in an apple for me.
Well, eating, at the correct time of ripeness is also important for such factors.
Yep.
Right? If it's underripe, it'll probably be too hard. And if it's too late, it'll be all mushy and bleh.
So you want to know something really tragic? I don't know how many listeners know this, but I cannot often eat fresh apples anymore because I'm allergic to like stuff in the air, like pollen and things. I'm allergic to birch pollen in particular. So one day, there's a wildwood.
I should get you a birch tree.
And I love apples. I love apple cider.
You want a birch tree?
Yeah, I like birch trees.
Should I get you one?
Not really.
No?
So
I'll just put one in your house.
one day, I'm in Wildwood, and Skojo's mom like cut up some apples. She's like, "Hey, you want some apples?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" So I'm just I eat some apples, and then my throat, like, you know that feeling when you have something like stuck in your throat, like you scratched your throat or something. So I get that feeling. I'm like, I guess I didn't chew that apple enough. And then I go into the bathroom because like it really and I look in my throat, and my throat is completely red and fully swollen internally. I'm like, that's weird. So then, like a month or two later, I'm eating an apple. The same thing happens. And I'm like, what? So I did some experimentation, and I discovered that sometimes, but not all times, when I ate an apple, that would happen. But it did not happen with cooked apples
Mm-hmm.
or peeled apples.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not happen with all fresh apples.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you
then
wash the apples?
Yes, I tried washing the apples. So I talked to a doctor, and basically what they said was that birch pollen and other pollens like that can impregnate the skins of apples.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are allergic to those pollens, you will then be unable to eat that apple
Mm-hmm.
unless it is cooked or the skin is fully removed.
So the cooking breaks the pollen down?
Usually, or it's diluted enough to where it doesn't matter.
Mm.
So as a result, I no longer just eat apples from apple picking because it's very rare in New York that I can get non-birch tree impregnated apples.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's your loss.
Yeah.
So you should come to the Apple House.
As a result, I have become very much more so a fan than I was before. And I was already quite a fan of apple pie, apple cobbler, apple crumble, baked apple.
I mean, apple's pretty much like the best tasting fruit, probably.
What's your favorite way to prepare an apple?
Oh,
Like an apple, like a prepared apple of some kind, not just a raw apple.
not just eating it straight up?
Or
Okay.
is that your favorite way?
No, that's
Okay.
not the favorite way. So what you do is it's a baked apple, but obviously you don't just put it in the oven, right?
That was not obvious to a lot of people, including us at one point in our lives.
Right. So to make a baked apple, you got to get a big ass apple, and it's got to be the baking kind. There are certain varieties that are good for doing this, right? You basically take the core out because you need to be able to put stuff in the apple.
Yep.
Like cinnamons or maybe honeys or, sugar, things that you can put in the apple. And then you wrap that motherfucker in tinfoil, seal it up good, and then you put a whole bunch of those in the oven together for the right amount of time, and then you take them out, and they're all squishy, but not too squishy, and impregnated with not pollen, but cinnamon sugar deliciousness. And then it's all warm, and because it's cold out, and then you eat that. And it's basically like if you think the apple pie filling tastes good, right? You're basically getting the crack version. If apple pie filling is, Tylenol, you're basically just like, all right, let's just go morphine. Let's do it. Heroin, fuck it.
See, the only reason why I'm actually going to say that an apple crumble is my favorite is that also has that's like concentrated, just like apple pie filling, but you've got some pastry.
Instead of having an actual pie crust, you just sort of crumble some shit on top because you're lazy and you can't bake properly.
Yeah, but there's apple crumbles are subtly different.
Apple crumble is basically lazy apple pie.
It's subtly
I can't be
different.
bothered to make a crust because it's too hard. I'm just gonna sprinkle a bunch of crumbs on top and
There are
of
subtle
apple pie
differences.
filling.
But if it's a fresh apple or recent apples, I prefer apple crumble. Like make apple crumble.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, I prefer apple strudel
Mm-hmm.
because I really like the pastry part of pastries to the point.
Bread is delicious.
Yes,
Sugar bread is more delicious.
that's why I like things like chicken pot pies. Apple strudel has the optimal ratio of pastry to apple for maximum deliciosity.
Well, I mean, my mom makes this apple cake, which I have the recipe for.
Ooh,
Where
apple
you-
cake.
Yeah, where you basically just it's really just really sugary cake. And then you sort of put the batter in the pan, and then you put a layer of apple, and then more batter, and then more apple, and then you bake it. And it's basically a crazy sugary cake with apple slices in the middle of it.
Yup.
That's good enough for me. I'll take it.
I do also like apple in salads. Like I like to make a salad with like walnuts and apples.
That's an A+ salad right there.
Yeah, it's got to be walnuts.
When I go to Freshco, there's only two salads I get. There's basically the taco in a bowl salad.
Yeah, I like
the fried chicken plus Tex-Mex dressing plus peppers and
Yeah.
little tortilla strip thing,
the
right?
Midwesterner salad.
I went to Chipotle last week, and then the apple, walnut, blue cheese, lettuce kind of salad.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two kinds.
So cider donuts, of course, are not relevant to this at all. But actual
Cider donuts, even the best ones I've had, don't have a strong apple flavor. And
No, they don't.
I made ones and I tried to get a strong cider flavor, and it was very difficult.
Yeah, I think that's not the kind of thing you do. It's a donut. It's a donut that you eat with cider.
Yep.
That is the way that actually goes down. But apple cider is still one of my favorite goddamn things.
Apple cider is best. It's basically apple juice.
Now, for those of
powered
you,
up.
so for non-Americans, which I know there are many of you, in America, what we call apple cider, you just call apple juice.
Yep.
And what you call apple cider, we call hard apple cider because there's alcohol in it.
Right.
And I don't know if you have what we call apple juice.
They do have what we call apple juice.
But what do you call it? Everyone calls it something different.
I don't know what they call it.
In some places, I've had it called clarified apple juice,
I've seen that.
clear apple juice,
Seen it.
or like I was it was always, you could only get it carbonated. It was apple spritzer.
Well, I mean, I'm always complaining like how wine has so many fucking varieties and grapes have so many varieties, but the other fruits don't get as much attention. Apple comes the closest.
Yeah, it does.
Even in the grocery stores, there are quite a few varieties of apple juice that you can get. You can get apple juice made with different, like, there's a place, Red Jacket near us. You can get Fuji apple juice specifically.
Now that's where the Granny Smith is most used for me. I like Granny Smith cider.
You can get also like strawberry apple juice, which is flavored apple juice.
Yeah.
Right? But like even if you go to a normal grocery store, they have different apple juices. They have like the one that's just like from concentrate, not from concentrate, sort of natural, which is darker and has some sort of pulp and more stuff in it. And they actually do taste ridiculously different. Like the Indian summer apple juice is not from concentrate, even though it's clarified. It has a darker golden color to it, and it tastes different from the store brand one. And there's a lot of different apple juices, and even apple ciders from different farms, taste noticeably and extremely different in the ways that, wines from different grapes will taste different. And I wish there was some more respect for apple juice, the way there's respect for wine.
Well, because apple juice, I get the impression, is seen by many people, especially in the U.S., as like a little kid drink. Like, oh, do you want some apple juice?
Well, I mean, Hannibal Buress has that whole joke. He's like checking out at the grocery store, and he's like, this guy's looking at me, and he's just jealous on my apple juice. If you don't know who Hannibal Buress is, you should search for him on YouTube. He's a great New York stand-up comedian. He's hilarious. And his apple juice bit is probably going to be the #1 result if you search for him.
So I encountered something I'd never had before. Australia, like in the US, like if you go to a bar, unless it's a cool craft bar, they'll have one or two ciders, like hard ciders, alcoholic ciders, like just fermented cider. But those are really just for the people who don't like beer, and they're usually awful. In Australia, cider had equal real estate in the bars to beer.
They had that many apples there?
Yes, and they had that many ciders there, and the ciders were
good. What kind of apples grow in Australia?
I have fucking no idea. People were mostly were drinking cider, not eating apples.
They have like koala apples?
Probably not. Here, I'm going to search this list. All right, so there's the Envy apple in New Zealand.
Okay.
Sweet
Are we
and
supposed to
crispy.
be envious of
Takes
it?
4 to 8 hours after cutting to start browning, so it doesn't brown right away.
Wow, interesting.
It's a Royal Gala crossed with a Braeburn.
All right, I know those kinds. So.
All right, let's see. Australia. Austral. All right, the Bismarck apple.
That sounds like a name of an Australian apple.
Medium-sized fruit, green and red skin, sharp in flavor, and not a common apple, used only in cooking.
Okay. Usually things that have a sharp or like kind of flavor are usually the cooking apples.
Yep.
Right?
The Crips pink.
Okay.
Cooking and eating, crisp, very sweet, slightly tart, light red, pink, and light yellow-green striped skin.
They seem to like the tart ones over there.
Granny Smith apparently is an Australian apple originally.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Someone brought it over?
Widely sold in the UK, so it came over from there, yeah.
Mm.
All right. Once used to represent Apple Records. Thanks, Wikipedia. The Sturmer Pippin.
That sounds an amazing name.
This has the longest text of any apple here. It's actually from England. It was brought to... Okay, so...
It was brought to Australia from England. Okay. So
A
they traded for Granny Smith's.
A medium-sized, bright greenish-yellow apple with reddish-brown blush. Often one face only. White-fleshed and crisp. One of the best English keeping apples with proper storage. Sturmer Pipkin last 4 to 5 months.
Whoa.
This is from 1800 too, this apple.
Whoa.
Flavor is sprightly. More sharp than sweet when first picked. I think a fanboy of this apple wrote this shit.
Check the talk section on Wikipedia.
But improves dramatically in storage. You know what I'm going to do? After this episode, I'm going to add a citation needed for this. Becoming sweeter while this goes on for a while.
Yep.
Oh, it was brought to Australia, where it is still widely grown, because it stores so well that it could be shipped places. And it is the parent of the Granny Smith.
Oh, so that sent this to Australia. The
It became
Australians
the Granny Smith.
read it into the Granny Smith and sent it back.
Yeah.
Aha. Look at that, apple history.
All right, we've gone through all the major Australian cultivars.
You could have read this Wikipedia on apple varieties yourself, but you wouldn't have done that. So we did.
Okay, the paragraph on the apple cultivar page describing the Sturmer Pippin is shorter than the actual, or longer than the actual Wikipedia article on the Sturmer Pippin. So somebody's got some citing to do.
Sure.
Yeah, this might be the first edit I've made to Wikipedia in a long time.
Do you have any apple-related anecdotes besides getting allergic and horrible whatnots?
Yes, so when I was in Australia, because cider is like a real thing there, and everybody, like half the people at every gathering I went to was drinking cider, and it was all good cider. Karen, who makes my favorite hapose, like Japanese.
Oh, but over there, it was actually from Japan.
No, so they make it in.
It wasn't. It was from Canada. It wasn't from Canada, was it?
It was imported from New Zealand.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Japan is so close.
Yeah, and in the U.S. it's imported from Canada. Every beer. And so all the German...
There must be, we should find a map of, all the Kirin breweries, because they must be all over the world. They're always
not just Kirin.
They're always one country away from wherever you are.
There's a bunch of German beers that are manufactured and created close to Australia in countries that aren't Australia, so the German beers still say imported. It's everyone. But Kirin also makes a cider. And it was fucking amazing.
Okay. But it was made in New Zealand.
Yeah, but
New Zealand
it's the same it's not different from the one in Japan.
It wasn't using Japanese apples or New Zealand apples.
I have no idea what apple they use, but it was super, super, super good. I bought a bunch of it to bring back, and then I drank it all.
What about that Applejack poison you get?
I was going to get to that. So I am very much a fan of Applejack. Now,
not the pony?
Well, I'm a fan of Applejack the pony, too, because in our forum, when ponies were the exploding thing years ago, when that was it's rising, the harbor, the ships were rising in the harbor around My Little Pony. And there's the thread in our farm. Everyone's going who's the best pony? What's the order of ponies? So everyone's ranking the ponies they like. And 5 people in a row either only ranked non-Applejack ponies or put Applejack last. Mm-hmm. And then someone just posted this pissed off looking picture of Applejack. So I always think about that. But now, talking about Applejack the drink, which is properly an English and Canadian thing. Michigan is kind of popular. Basically, the way you would make Applejack traditionally, you make cider, freeze the barrel of cider, cut the middle of the barrel out, let it thaw, freeze it again, cut the middle of the barrel out, and eventually you've got distilled cider. Mm-hmm. It's just alcohol with a apple hint to it. Because it's pretty much just alcohol. There's a great...
You distilled it so much, all the apple's been removed? Only
it has a color. It has a color from the process, this yellowish straw kind of color. Mm-hmm. And it does, if you tasted it, Scott, you would say, wow, that tastes like poison and apple. Mm-hmm. Apple's in there. Apple has a thing. But when we went to the Cornelius distillery that makes it, because only recently has Applejack been recognized as something you're allowed to make for legal in the U.S. in most places.
It's not going to make you blind.
Yeah, this will not make me blind. Maybe if you make it the old shitty way, but you distill it a modern way now. You don't freeze distill it. So we were at the distillery and someone asked the question, what apples do you use? What varieties
they
to
said
make this?
It doesn't matter because...
He said whatever apples fell off the ground and no one fell to the ground and no one picked. It doesn't matter at all. It has literally no possible impact. It just has to be an apple. Mm-hmm.
It's because you just need the sugar of apple for the things,
and all the other things in apples. So it, is Applejack as opposed to vodka or gin or some other thing.
Right.
That shit is delicious. And I'm almost out.
But yeah, so speaking of apples on the ground, right? Unlike other fruits, which you can pick, apple picking is the most common kind of picking.
Berry picking, super popular.
Not as much as apple, though, because...
you're biased by the Northeast.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. But anyway.
Yes, in this area, apple picking's the only thing people are like, well, it's apple picking season. Well, which weekends are we all going apple picking, guys?
Well, the reason for it is because most people tend to only go to a farm like that, if they're not farm folk, to get a pumpkin in October. Because, you don't want to get one from the grocery store, right? You get one from the farm.
Yeah, otherwise, what's the point?
And when you go to the farm to get your pumpkin, well, happens to be apple season. we happen to be selling apple cider and having apple picking at the same time. So you get a pumpkin.
And you're not going to
you
go to
pick
the farm.
apples.
You're not, you're some parent. You're not going to get the whole family in the minivan, drive an hour to the farm just to buy a pumpkin and leave. No, you're making it a half-day trip.
Yep.
Got to walk around
You got to
apple
look
picking.
at petting zoo, the maze. A lot of good shit going down there.
I'm always amazed when I run into people who've never been apple picking. Like, you go apple picking with someone who's never done it before.
They don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah, you hand them the thing to get the apples off the high branches, and they don't know how to use it.
All right, so obviously you need that thing sometimes, but I never use it. I feel like, the fun of apple picking is trying to get the apple with your own body. But people don't pick up the apples off the ground when they go apple picking, partly because some of the fun is getting the apple off the tree and picking it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not fun to pick up an apple off the ground so much as it is to get one from a tree. But the apples on the ground are usually perfectly fine most of the time. If I
depending on the apple cultivar, those are the ones that are just now ripe, like perfectly.
Yeah, you think the ones that you got from the grocery store didn't never land on the ground? You're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's bullshit. They definitely.
But yeah, so the people who make Applejack will use machines to go get all the apples on the ground.
Yep. But yeah, like if I see a really good apple on the ground and it's perfectly fine, if it's worth getting, I'm getting it.
Of course.
But obviously, I still mostly get them from tree because that's the fun of doing it.
Well, because that feeling.
If I just wanted the apples, I would just buy apples.
When you reach up and you grab an apple and you pull it, and there's that moment where it separates, that's a really good feeling.
Yep.
That
also,
apple.
the thing.
Kids, as much as I liked to when I was a kid, don't eat the apples while you're apple picking. They're covered in pesticide.
Yeah, it's not good. A lot of people when they go apple picking buy the wrong amount of apples.
Yeah, you know what?
You buy like a bucket or a bag, and you sort of feel like you have to fill it all the way.
Here's the rule. However many people you have, you need one bucket or bag.
Yep.
Total.
Yep.
With any number of people.
Yep.
That is the rule.
Unless you bake something serious that takes a ton of fucking apples, if you pick up like a pick or a bushel or whatever the fuck it is, a peck, you're going to have more apples than you can eat and deal with, and they'll just go bad sitting in that bag, and it'll be a waste of money. Thankfully, it's cheap. But still. Also, make sure to go to the country store where they're making the cider donuts and pick up all the apple-related goodies like apple butter, apple jelly, apple jam,
apple everything,
apple cider.
Popular media likes to make fun of the pumpkin spice as being the season, but apple is right under the radar.
Pumpkin spice. So here's the thing about pumpkin spice, right?
It's not pumpkin. It's the spices you put in pumpkin pie.
That's right. It's mostly just like nutmeg and shit. It's not.
Also, you assholes, there's no pumpkin in your pumpkin pie. That's some bullshit squash.
Yep.
I've had real pumpkin pie. You know what? Real pumpkin pie has some stringy bullshit in it. You know why? Because pumpkins have stringy bullshit in them.
I don't eat pumpkin. Pumpkin is not for eating.
Because you're a terrible person.
But apple is for eating. So eat all the apples. Brought to you by Not Apple Farmers of America.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Why don't I introduce y'all to the apple family? Thanks, but I really need to hurry. This here's apple fritter, apple bumpkin, red gallop, red delicious, golden delicious, caramel apple, apple strudel, apple tart, baked apples, apple brioche, apple cinnamon crisp, Big Mac and Chives.
I only weigh like 150 something pounds. I'm not like this wall. The kid or the guy bounced off of me backward and was stunned for about 4 or 5 seconds. Then he got his wits together, shoved past me, and ran on his way. So in the time between when he slammed into me and was stunned, and then he ran away, I had a decision to make. Do I stop him?
You don't know anything about why he's running. Why would you stop him?
So here's what I
What
did.
if you stop him and,
Exactly. That's the New Yorker like assessment of should I intervene in this situation? And the answer is almost always no.
That's correct.
However, what I did is I look up to see, for example, is there anyone yelling?
Police?
Is there anyone yelling in the distance? My purse! My purse!
What, did he look like he was holding something?
I didn't have time to assess that. Remember, I had about 4 seconds total before he started moving again.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would have had to move quickly and decisively to actually, stop him.
Sure.
So the other thing I look, is there a police officer in hot pursuit?
Let them take care of it. It's not your problem.
Had I seen...
If you turn around and start running, the cops are going to chase you. Don't do that.
Yeah, so had I seen a police officer chasing him while he was still stunned in front of me, I may have knocked him over or something.
That's fun.
Yeah. But there was no one immediately chasing him, and there was no further commotion online. So I decided, I don't know what he's running from. He might be running from something that I would also run from. I'm just not going to intervene, so I let him run past me. But I jogged along behind him a little bit to keep an eye on where he was going in case the situation progressed.
Oh, because you need to be involved.
Well, you never know. Like, what if he like shot someone? Like, you don't know.
Okay.
So then another person.
Was that uncrowded there?
At that point, it was.
Wow, that's super uncrowded. When was it, like 3 in the morning?
So yesterday and Monday, there was just fucking no one on the subway. I don't know why. Like, it was really weird.
Okay.
Like, really weird. So then I hear footsteps and someone yelling, out of my way, out of my way. And a huge motherfucker comes around the corner.
He's chasing the little motherfucker.
He is chasing the guy, and he is shoving people out of the way and running. And it gets kind of wet.
But he's big, so he's going,
it gets kind of wet along the left
he
side.
fell down.
He starts sliding, slams into the wall, and now he is dazed. It's been about 30 seconds since the guy ran on at this point.
So he's not going to catch him. It's over.
Well, so then the guy's like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go?
There's only one way for him to go. It's a tunnel, dude.
Well, yeah, but like you can go left or right down the stairs, and you can also go around the corner and back up an escalator. There's actually a lot of ways to go at that point.
Oh, you're right. I thought you were like in the long part.
So now I have decision number 2, because there aren't that many people around, and the few people around are pointedly trying to not be involved.
Yep.
So I have to decide, do I point or not? Is this... It's Thursday, November 13th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, talking about apples. Apple cake, apple pie, apple cobbler. Let's do this. So something very interesting happened to me yesterday. I was on the subway. I was getting on the subway. So Grand Central, I am walking from the 4-5 train
to the 7 train?
Down that long ramp that goes to the 7 train.
Was the guy playing his shamisen in there?
So there was no shamisen there. There was no Casio guy wasn't there. He's been there a lot lately. There's no musicians there at all.
Oh.
And it wasn't super crowded.
Okay.
So for whatever reason. So I'm walking down.
Did you take the escalator or the stairs?
I'm walking down and I hear someone running behind me.
Okay.
Now, New Yorker instinct kicks in because they're running way faster than even like...
Than trying to catch the subway running.
Yes, that is the running of shit's going down. So I turn to like be ready for like what's going on, and I see either a kid or a very short person barreling toward me, and they got there so quick they slammed into me. So I'm staggered back, but they were small. And, I'm not a huge guy. Like, I'm under 6 foot. Episode of Friends about that, actually.
It happens, like, it's not uncommon.
So, actually, I've gotten out of multiple speeding tickets when I was in high school by doing the following. If an unmarked cop car turned on its rollers, which in New York, they can't pull you over for speeding. But in Michigan, they totally can. Anytime that happened to me, which usually was because I was speeding, I would basically calmly continue driving and make them follow me. And I drive straight to a police station and park. And then when they start to try to read me the riot act, what the fuck you were doing, I didn't trust you were a real cop. I drove to the police station because that was the prudent thing to do. If you're a real cop, I'm waiting for, show me a badge, that kind of thing. And every time that eventually turned into, I'm sorry from the cop, and then them either forgetting why they pulled me over or not giving me a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So pro tip for you kids. So anyway.
How do you find the nearest police station? Google Maps.
Yep. Well, if your pro game is call 911, I guess. I'm not advocating you do that. That's probably illegal. Just saying.
I'm being pulled over. What's the emergency?
I don't think they're a real cop. What should I do?
Pull over.
Yeah, maybe. So imagine, anyway. So I get on the subway and then, stand clear of the closing doors. And then the doors go cha-chunk, 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 and then open. Cha-chunk, 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 and then open. Followed by, please, person, the good guy or the bad guy.
You have no idea if there is a good guy or a bad guy.
He then immediately pulls out a badge and he goes, undercover cop, where'd he go? And it's a real badge, at least as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
So I point very detailedly without saying anything in case the dude's like right around the corner or something. I don't want to get that involved. And then the cop takes off in that direction. So I then go down and I see the cop like walking up and down briskly because there's a huge crowd down there by the subway because it's been a while since the train came. A train's about to leave going towards Times Square, and another train's pulling in to about to let people on going to Queens. The train going to Times Square is obviously empty because it's rush hour going home. Like no one goes that way in the evening.
No, it's going to pick people up, not drop them off.
Yeah. So he's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and I look around just to see like, do I see the motherfucker? Because at that point, I'm going to point him out if I see him. I don't see him. I look around a little bit. I just give up and I just get on the subway.
Okay.
Then they try to close the
I wouldn't
subway.
even put in that effort. I would have been like, oh.
Yeah, maybe I'm Batman. I don't know.
How do you know the undercover cop was even legit?
If you had a fake badge, then that is some mafia level.
I actually read stories about like people pretending to be undercover cops quite often.
Yeah, they often don't actually
That's
have a real
actually
badge.
like a frequent thing that I'll see, especially like the police will tweet like, so-and-so pretends to be police officer, rob someone.
There's an